Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. Today, I got a frequent guest of the show. He is undefeated mixed martial artist. He's been tearing it up over in LFA. He is the hype. He is Mr. Ilay Barzilay, and he's got a fight coming up. LFA contest taking on Kohl Laren here in December. Eli, man, fight got announced to us last week. We're getting closer to the date. What's the mindset like right now?
Hey, Carlo, always a pleasure. Um, so um, I just keep it simple, another fight camp, all the different fights. I'm not really getting excited, just like a week before the fight or a couple of days before the fight. So keeping it basic, making sure I'm ready, and that's pretty much it.
You know, your last in action, you took on Chris Renteria over in July. Before that contest, you had some great performances, but they went to the judges. You told me before the last one, I'm not going to the judges anymore. You run out there, get a first round finish with punches. Walk me through the closing moments of that fight.
Yeah, I definitely improve some stuff between the fights. Um, I feel like I'm getting much more dangerous in the striking, and my KO power is getting better and better. Um, I fought a great wrestler. I fought a guy that just beat two undefeated guys, and he win all of his fights by wrestle people and pressure them and breaking them with his cardio. But the thing is, like, there's not a lot of people that have better cardio than me and that can push the pace better than me. So the plan was just I knew like he might take me to the ground a couple of times, but to get up, to keep pressuring him, and then to KO him. And I told you before, I told you it's gonna happen in round one, probably in around round the first round, and that's what I did.
Now, coming into this one, Cole Laren, a guy who's a pretty good striker. He can definitely hold his own with the stand up. What do you think of him as an opponent?
Yeah, Cole is is pretty much is dangerous striker. You have some tricky stuff, tricky knees, and a couple of stuff that he's doing. Um, every one of my opponents is a little bit different. So of course we're making the adjustments, and I I do respect him. I do think he's dangerous. I do respect him. I think his game. He gonna come there to fight for sure. But with that being said, I'm much more skilled than him, and I'm more tough than him. And I believe if everything goes like the plan, and I'm gonna be focused, I believe I'm gonna finish this fight very early.
You know, you're a very well-rounded mixed martial artist, and it's crazy because you're still such a young fighter. But do you think having your skill set as rounded as it is, do you think that might make the difference in this contest?
The experience.
Yeah, do you think the experience and how
Oh,
well-rounded you are gives you the advantage?
absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the things that I feel in this fight camp, so I have much more MMA fights than him. I believe he do have some Muay Thai fights and experience, but MMA it's different. I have more experience. I have more MMA experience than him, and I feel like I'm the veteran in this fight. I feel like also in the trainings, I feel like I start to be. I start to I started to be a little bit like a veteran, like doing some veteran moves, and I understand like where I should push the pace more, where I should rest more. So I definitely think the experience gonna be a big factor in this fight. Um, and of course, well rounded. I feel like a lot of my opponents and also the fans, they don't know what's gonna come next. They don't know if I gonna strike, if I gonna grapple. They don't know what's the plan, and I pretty much can do it all. So I believe I have the tools in this fight to knock him out, and I also believe I can take him to the ground and finish it in there. We'll see how it's gonna go, but I do believe that I'm not necessarily need to grapple with him. I can just finish it on the feet.
You train over at Extreme Couture, a gym that's been having so much success, both in the UFC, the regional scene. I mean, really turning into one of the best gyms in the world. You have a crew that you're always with, that you're always training with. You train a lot with Natan, Matus, Shimon Smatrisky. What's it like training with those guys?
It's great. It's great. I got Nathan pretty much for every camp with me. Um, so because my opponent now is southpaw and he likes to kick, so I'm working a lot with Nathan, which is one of the best kickers in the game, and he's a southpaw as well. And so I'll be training with him a lot. We're having a great game plan, and of course, Shimon gonna fight soon for uh, for a belt in Fury. So everyone have big fights. I also have Sean Perro, which is another Israeli MMA fighter on the app, who's living with me, and he's gonna fight 2 days before me in Tough Enough. So it's gonna be big time for the Israeli MMA.
Another guy, Mateus Camilo, coming off of a big win himself. Guy looks like he's not too far from going to the UFC. Overall, should we expect him to be there soon, you think?
Absolutely. You're gonna have some big fight news soon, and hopefully, and I can't tell this now, but it's gonna happen soon. And Mateus is definitely one of the best prospects in the world, I believe. He have everything to get in the UFC, and not only to get in there, but also to have a lot of success in there. So he have everything that he need. He's focused. He's training hard. I believe you guys gonna see Mateus in the UFC uh, either in the end of the year or next year or early next year.
Speaking of him being one of the top prospects in the world, I mean, you're really starting to become that as well. I mean, now 5-0 fighter, looking to become 6-0 here. I mean, you're still such a young fighter. I mean, you're so young. You haven't been doing this for so long, but your skills look very seasoned. They look very polished already. Do you think that's just a byproduct of training with some of the best guys in the world on a daily basis?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm training with the best fighters in the world since I'm 17. Went to Brazil, training with the best guys in Brazil. Came to Vegas, training with the best guys in Vegas. That's definitely made me a mature fighter, mature person, and also that gives me a lot of experience and definitely help with my fighting level and skills. So of course, I'm learning from the best guys in the world every day. I'm training with so many UFC fighters, and during all these years, I just see all my training partners getting into UFC, sign with the UFC, doing good in there, and now I feel like all my training partners and me too, like we know that's my time now. Now it's my time to explode.
You're mentioning training in Brazil, train with the Fighting Nerds. That's a gym and a team that's going crazy right now. Every time I see watching, I'm seeing more guys with the glasses. You got Caio Bio, you got Prates, you got Gene Silva. I think one of them fought this past weekend. So many great guys just emerging. Do you feel like that team is going to be dominant for years to come in the UFC?
100%, yeah. They have crazy hype, and they're doing great job. Gian Silva is a crazy, crazy striker. He's gonna be world champ. And Mauricio Ruffi is crazy fighter. All of them like Carlos Prates, Caio, and there's a lot of also. I was talking about it before already. There's also a lot of prospects in there that people don't know yet, but they have the level to become a big time fighters. So uh, yeah, definitely the gym on the rise, and definitely planning to go there soon and keep training with those guys.
The Contender Series coming up. not too crazy outline in the future. I mean, last year I believe it started in August, so really when you look at it, we're only about 9, 10 months away from the Contender Series. Right now you're 5-0, could be 6-0 after the next fight. Very realistic possibility by the time August comes around, you could be an 8 to 9-0 fighter. Is that the goal? Is the goal of the Contender Series for next year right now?
Yeah, the goal is contender series. I don't be I believe I don't need to fight like four more times. I believe I did enough to have my receipts, on the table. Like I'm entertaining. I have some finishes, and I try to be this year. End up that it didn't work out in the end, but I can't lie. I was a little bit hurt because I came here and I had the feeling that someone gonna pull out and they're gonna put me in or something. But it's part of the game, and I'm young, and I believe it's even gonna be more special because they're gonna have like I'm planning to fight this one and maybe to fight one more time next year, and then I'm gonna go there not only a better fighter but also with more experience, and so overall I think everything is for good, and I believe you guys are gonna see me for sure in contender next year, or hopefully I'm gonna get the call even before that.
Is there a day that goes by where you're not envisioning getting the Contender call, fighting in the UFC, meeting Dana White? Like, is all that, do you think about that every day?
Yeah, I honestly I living the dream, every day. I try to live the day. Every day it's different day. It's hard, I try to not get too excited, but it's hard because that's my dream, and sometimes I'm not patient enough. But I'm lucky. I have people around me that always telling me like, be patient, your time gonna come, be patient. So that's what I'm doing, living day by day, and I know this day gonna come. So I don't know when, but I know this day gonna come. So I don't think about all this stuff right now, but I know it's gonna happen, and I have a feeling it's gonna happen pretty soon, probably sooner than most of the people think.
You take a lot of pride in being an Israeli fighter, very vocal, very passionate about it. Are you surprised of all the Israeli fans that are turning out to these LFA shows? I mean, you're going out there selling tons of tickets. Is that pretty cool to see?
Yeah, it's very cool because always they always they put me to fight with the locals guys, and the locals always bring a lot of crowd, and as more as my popularity going like getting bigger and bigger, I'm able to bring more Israelis to my fights all over the US, and in the last year, I feeling like I'm fighting in Israel. I don't even feel like I'm fighting in a different city. So I believe that's also what my opponent gonna see. I believe you're gonna be surprised in the fight day. But either way, I can have all the crown in the world, but in the end, it's only me and him in the cage. And when I'm inside his cage, I'm a different animal. So that's in the end what's important. What I gonna bring inside the cage. The crowd is cool and everything, and I love the people cheering for me. But in the end of the day, um, we just alone in there, and what's winning the fight? It's our actions, not the crowd actions. It's our actions.
Do you feel that you're now starting to get a lot more attention? I looked at your Instagram and I saw like 19,000 followers, and I was like, whoa. When I first messaged him, he had like 2,000, and that was like 2 years ago. I mean, you're starting to get popular. Your name's starting to get up there. You're moving up in the regional rankings. Are you really starting to feel more hype and attention around you?
Yeah, I do feel it, but not in here. I feel it more in Israel. When I'm in Israel, like more people recognize me, more people taking pictures with me and stuff. But here I don't feel it. Here I'm just another fighter. Um, and I am a big prospect. I am a big prospect. I think people in the MMA community start to know me more and more. That's for sure. But in the daily routine, I don't feel it. Because I'm around big stars. So who I am, and like near those all those big stars. So it's good because in Israel I can feel star a little bit, but here I don't feel it. Here I'm just like normal fighter.
There's so many sacrifices that it takes to be a professional fighter, especially fighting out on the regional scene. Obviously, when you're fighting regionally, you're not making millions of dollars fighting. The money isn't in it right away. There's a lot of training. You have to really dedicate your life to it. You're a perfect example. I mean, you left everybody and you moved to the US to chase this dream, man. And you've come a long way, but when you first left a few years ago to come here, what was that like, man? Was that nervous? Was that scary? Was that just a crazy time in your life?
Of course, like when I first came, I didn't know what's gonna wait for me in here. I just like I was young kid. I was hungry for my dream, so I left everything. I was living with my family, all the time. So I never like I didn't really know how to do a lot of stuff alone, and I need to learn everything from zero. And it was very hard time in the beginning. Like, I started it from zero. I had only Nathan with me, which helped me a lot. Uh, but people people think I always uh, like I didn't always have the sponsors that I have today and the stuff that I achieve. I mere 5 6 years, and I just didn't stop to put in work and training all the day and win fights. And that's what brought me, some sponsors and some people who investing in me, and better life for myself. So I definitely had a big journey in here, but in the beginning I didn't know what it's gonna take from me, and it took for me a lot. It was very hard in the beginning, but I figured everything out, and I'm very proud of myself today because I didn't quit, and now I'm in a much better position.
What do you think is the biggest thing that you have learned through this whole journey so far?
Uh, the biggest thing is so I think the most important thing that I learned, it's uh, even if you're young, you still, yeah, you have time and everything, but you still need to act like you don't have time. You need to act like you need to do everything now. You gotta do everything now, and you gotta make sure you're getting better every day. But with that being said, it's very important to be patient at the same time. Like, do all the right thing, do all the right work, but also knows that some things is just not depending on you. Uh, and what you can control, what you don't have control, you can't. You can't take responsibility for something you don't have control on. So train like it's your last day. Even if it's like not in even if it's not in the MMA world or sports world, like, be in touch with your family, talk with your friends, every day. It's important, but also, don't rush stuff. Be patient, and whatever it's not in your control, it's not in your control. Just do your best. Consistency, it's the most important. Consistency.
Do you get a lot of Israeli younger guys who want to become fighters, maybe who are first step starting out, have this dream that are messaging you on Instagram and stuff for advice?
Yeah, of course. Once, like a couple years ago, I was that kid that, let's say, was talking with Natan, and I had my idols, in the Israeli MMA. But today we switch already generations and just younger kids, and today, uh I'm getting a bit older. Like, I'm not a kid anymore. and they look up to me, and so I'm their inspiration, and I try to respond to everyone because I understand that a couple years ago I was that guy. So it's very important for me to respond for them and give them some good advices. And it's always honor when kids looking up to you and you're getting message like, oh, you my idol, I like your fighting style, I want to fight like you and all this stuff. So yeah, I'm just my goal is to help all the Israeli MMA fighters, especially the youngest one.
Is it kind of surreal, even at this point, to think that, a guy like Natan, a guy that you grew up liking, idolizing, he was one of your favorite fighters, and now he's one of your best friends. Now he's a guy that you interact with every single day. You're a big part of his career. He's a big part of your career. Is it crazy to stop and think about where that evolved and had come from?
Yeah, I was lucky honestly because is the first. Natan and Nodlat are the first one who actually moved to the US and training here full time and fought in here. And Natan is the first one who started his amateur career in the US and did everything by the book. So I'm lucky that we train at the same gym in Israel and we're from the same city because I was one of the closest to him, and he showed me the pet. So I was lucky. Not everyone have this guy in the gym who's telling them exactly what to do and how to manage their career. Um, so so yeah, definitely. It's yeah, it's crazy to think that now we like brothers. He's like my big brother, and but he's still I see him as the idol. He's my big brother and everything, but he's still my idol.
What is the MMA scene like in Israel? Is it tough to find fights out there?
Yeah, very tough. There's not a lot of events at all, and if there's some events, it's not great. The level is not great, to be honest. But there's a lot of good Israeli MMA fighters. Just like they're not in Israel anymore. They train in Israel a couple years, and then when they wanna start fight, they go to the US or to Brazil or to Russia. But there's a lot of great Israeli MMA fighters. Like it's really on the rise, and now they have the IMMAF Federation. So so Israeli fighters, so the fighters start to have some amateur fights, and they're not just turning pro, and then come to the US with 5 fights and fighting against some guys who have 10 amateur fights. Now they can do the amateur in Israel. So I will tell you, the amateurs in Israel are much better than the pros in Israel. There's almost not pros in Israel today that actually like live in Israel, but there's a lot of amateur like young kids that are gonna be beasts, and they on the way up. So there's good amateur scene, but not there's almost no pro events.
So I'm looking over your topology, and it looks like all of your fights have been in the U.S., right? Amateur, pro, everything in the U.S.
Yeah, everything was in the US. I do have a lot of jiu-jitsu competition in Israel and around the world and in Brazil or like some Muay Thai fights that I did in Israel, small fights. But all of my MMA fights, all of my MMA career, it was always in the US.
One of the promotions I think that sticks out for me, obviously Island Fights. Dean Toole, guy you fought for on Island Fights, you fought for him on Icon, your pro debut. Their setup is a little different. It's a boxing ring that you fight in. Was that a little cool? I mean, was that kind of cool to be able to do MMA in a boxing ring?
So I had one amateur fight in the ring. In the ring, it was in the ring, yeah, Island Fights. But I didn't like it, to be honest, because because of the ropes, and you try to take some guy down, and there's the rope. So like it was a cool experience, but also it's not my thing. I like the cage. I like the cage work, but uh, but the promotion was great. They took care of us, and Dean is a great guy, and everyone on this team was great, you know. And also when I fought for them in Icon, it was a pleasure. It was so good. A lot of media, they really promote us. I think probably them and the LFA, the promotion, that the two leagues, they know how to promote the best, the Thai fought, you know. They promote us very good. Of course, Masvidal know how to promote also and do all the stuff. So it was big pleasure, and who knows what the future holds? Who know if I gonna work with them again?
So, if you remember back to that pro debut, give you a little trivia question here. There were two guys on that card with you who are now in the UFC. You remember who they were?
Yeah, I remember Bo Nickel, right? And
N-
it was
Not
it
on
was
that
in
one.
my amateur days, Bo
Oh,
Nickel.
amateur. Okay, okay.
When I fought for them in the amateur in the Fight Island, I fought with Bo Nickel in the same card. But as a pro, I know Malcolm,
Hmm.
right? He just signed, and who else? I know some guy from
Torres
LFA.
Finney.
Oh, Torres Finney. Oh yeah, he fought at the same card.
Yeah, he fought on that one.
Oh,
Yeah, I think he trains with you at Extreme Couture too now, or he
right.
does a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. Now I saw him at Extreme, and but I thought I know him from Contender, but I didn't remember if we fought at the same card. But it makes sense. That make a
Yeah,
lot of sense. Oh, that's
absolutely. Is it cool though to like start off with these guys, fight alongside them when you're both amateurs, you're both pros, and then now see these guys pop off into the UFC?
yeah, yeah. That's very cool. You know, um, Malcolm, I knew is just by watching him fight, I knew is gonna be a problem, and he gonna be signed to UFC one day. And but yeah, that's cool, you know. And very soon it's gonna be my time and my turn. Very very soon, I believe.
What would it mean for you to be able to go to the UFC and represent Israel on that pedigree?
It's gonna mean a lot for me, you know. It's gonna mean a lot for me because when I fight, I don't represent only myself, but I represent my country and I represent my people. I always say that I'm fighting for my family, for my country, and it's a little bit different from the average American fighter because here they're fighting for themselves, and I believe when you're fighting for others, it's a little bit stronger motivation, you know. Because I know when I'm winning, I know a lot of people in my country, they gonna be happy for at least couple of hours. And my country, you know, we in a war right now, so people not that happy, and I wanna make them happy. I wanna give them reason to be happy, and I wanna fight for all those soldiers that are also my friends who's fighting in Lebanon now and in Gaza. They inspire me, and I wanna fight for them as well, and I wanna show that spirit. And this thing, you cannot understand if you're from outside. You cannot understand, and that's why I have advantage over the most of the American fighters or the outside fighters I will fight against. You know, I really believe in this.
All right, Eli, last question for you, my friend. We're getting closer to the fight. So, as always, in a perfect world, what is the outcome when you take on Kohl Laren in December in LFA?
Um, I would say one more prediction. Let's do it. I believe the fight gonna end up second round with TKO. Um, that's my prediction, but it can also. I will not be surprised at all if it's gonna end up in the first round. But I will give him the respect. You know, he's a tough guy. He have some nice team. So they're also probably doing some good preparation. So I believe second round, you know, it's gonna be very tired, and then I'm gonna beat him in the second round.
Absolutely. Well, Eli, thank you so much for hopping on here with me tonight. Can't wait to see you fight again, man, and hope to see you on the main card of this one.
Thank you very much, Carlo. Hopefully, I believe so. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure, bro.
Absolutely. That's Ilay Barzilay. I'm Carlo Prusa. Stick around, fight fans. Awesome, man.